Okay.
All right. So, starting right down here, you have 2 drain caps. The one on the left is going to be the main drain cap. This is going to be the one that you drain and you drain your spa when you're doing a drain and refill, okay? The one on the right is going to be our service drain. Anytime we come out and we have to service your tub, let's say we're winterizing or anything like that, we're the only ones who use this drain, okay?
It's kind of pushed back a little bit
Yep.
further, it looks
Okay,
like.
well, what do you mean if you winterize it? What does that mean?
So winterizing would be, let's say winter came around and you were headed off and you were going to be gone for a month or 2,
Okay.
and you're not going to be using your spa. Well, at that point, typically for a month or 2, that's a long period of time where the spa isn't going to be in use. There's going to be no one around it to check on it to make sure it's all good. It would be considerable to maybe have us come out. What we do is we blow out all the water in the lines and everything. We blow a little bit of antifreeze through your tub to make sure it doesn't freeze over winter. Just because even with your tub on, we just don't like super long periods of time without anybody checking on your tub. The reason being is because if something went wrong, if there was a power outage or anything like that, and your breakers got tripped or anything like that, well then we no longer have heat to the tub. And 2 months in winter with no heat to the tub,
Okay.
you can freeze over and everything like that. It can cause a world of problems. We
Okay.
just rather avoid things like that. If you're gone for just a couple weeks, you're going to be fine.
Okay.
And everything. But that's typically the only time that we see anybody want to winterize their tub, is when they're like,
for
oh, I have a
months.
second home, I'm going to take off to it, I'm not going to be around at all.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect.
Now your drain cap, the one that you use right here, has a ball valve on it, which means you can actually take off this front cap, hook a hose up to it, and then open up that switch and let it flow out. So, super, super easy. You can do target watering.
Yeah.
You can water grass, trees, shrubs, anything of that nature. Yeah.
Where's the valve?
So, you feel, it's right here. You can see that little
okay,
switch?
it just flips up.
Yep. That little switch just flips parallel to it, so you just push that back, and now it's open and it'll flow out. Okay?
How come no water ran out?
Huh?
How come no water ran out?
Because we still have that front cap on.
Okay.
So you can take that front cap off. That's a good thing. If no water runs out when we flip that switch, if a ton of water ran out, then we would have a problem.
It just didn't seem like it was a water tank.
But typically, anytime you go to drain your spa, it's going to be something that you plan out and everything. You're not going to wake up one day and say, oh, I feel like draining my spa today and everything. You're typically like, oh, I do that.
Well, that's the thing is you might.
But typically, it's going to be something like, oh, I have a little bit more time next week. I think it's about time we drain the spa and refill it. So I think I'm going to do it next week. Well, that number that you turned up on here,
Uh-huh.
that's your chlorine output. What we suggest is a couple days prior to draining, we turn that number down all the way.
Okay.
The
To
reason
zero.
we do
You
that-
just put on 0.
Yep.
Okay.
The reason we do that is we kind of want just all the chlorine dissipated out of your tub. That way when we go to drain, we're not risking yellowing anybody's grass or anything like that. We're not putting chlorinated water anywhere. But yeah, we just want to turn down your chlorine output before we drain a few days.
Okay, and that's what that's called, the chlorine output.
Yeah.
But you called it the salt system as well, so it has
Yeah.
multiple terminologies.
Yeah, and we'll go over the entire thing,
Okay.
and by the end of it, you'll understand
Okay.
what I mean by it.
Okay.
Going on up on your tub, this is your logo indicator light. This light lets you know that your spa is running perfectly fine, no issues, nothing to worry about. The blue light on bottom indicates your electrical. It indicates that you're getting power from your home to your hot tub panel to the hot tub.
Okay.
And there's no issues along the way.
Okay.
If you ever get a problem with this blue light or it goes off, typically the first thing you want to check is you want to check if you're getting any power to your spa.
Okay.
It's not something that's any type of regular occurrence or anything like that. Typically we never see any issues electrical wise. Top light. This indicates that your salt system is running well, and it also indicates that your tub is up to settings.
Okay.
Now, up to settings means if I go in your tub and I actually lower it and I'm off within 3 degrees, that light turns off.
Oh, okay.
So anytime you're getting out of the tub, you may see that light off. It just means you've lost heat, and your tub knows to heat back up, and it'll light back up when it's up to temperature again.
Okay.
Okay? Now, every 10 days, this green light's going to start to flash. What that is you guys have a salt system. Now your salt system is what produces the chlorine in the tub. Now, what it does is it has a 10-day safety feature on it, which means if 10 days go by, it wants you to confirm that you're still here. It's basically saying, are you still here and are you still using your tub? Now, it'll start to blink, and every day that you don't confirm, it turns that chlorine output down by 1. Just because it doesn't want you to go out on vacation and not use the tub and then forget about it, and it's just pushing a ton of chlorine into the tub. So it's just a safety feature to back that chlorine feature down. And it's as simple as when this blinks, this little water droplet right here will also be blinking. And all you do is you just click on it, and it'll say confirm tub now, and you just hit OK. And that's as easy as it is. It's just telling the tub I'm still here, I'm still using it. But everything on this logo indicator light can be found in your owner's manual. But if you ever get an actual issue where it turns yellow or red, or it's saying something on the remote that you don't understand, instead of flipping through your owner's manual, I'm going to tell you, just give us a call. Because we can ask you like a series of 3 questions and figure out exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Now, your cover assist and everything. I know you guys are pretty used to opening it up. The cover assist itself isn't necessarily what I'm worried about, but if you ever have smaller children around, this is your wind lock pin. What it does is when it's actually through both sides of it, if it was a windier day, it doesn't allow the cover to be blown onto you and everything. When it's closed, you can still put that wind lock pin in. We never suggest it, but if you ever have little ones around and you notice it's hard to lift up your cover, it should never be hard to lift up your cover. Don't force it or anything like that. First check to make sure that pin is actually out. Okay?
Some people would just use that to keep kids from getting into the tub.
People actually just use this for wind, but typically what I've seen over the past couple days is if you have smaller children around, grandkids, anything like that, what typically happens is when it's closed, kids see that pin and they see the hole and they're automatically trained to, oh, I need to put this in there. And if you don't know that it's in there and you go to open up your cover and you go to lift it up, well, sometimes if that's in, it can feel really hard to lift up and you're going to want to force it, but it'll ruin your cover assist, and we don't want to ruin your cover assist and everything, so just be conscientious of where that pin is. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and get in the interface of your tub. So, this is your main screen. Now, you'll notice on the top of your controller, it looks like an on and off switch. That's called, the top left corner, that's called your hotkey. That's anytime that you're just wanting to get in your spa, you want everything on, you want your pumps on full blast, and your lights. If you hit that key, it'll turn everything on super quick.
That's this one.
Yep, you can hit it. And that's just a quicker way to turn everything on.
Okay.
Instead of having to individually go into the jets, go into the lights, and things like that. Now, it's a quick way to turn everything off, too. Even if you just had the jets on, even if you went into the lights and you just had the lights on, you can hit that button and make sure everything's off on your tub. That star with the M on it, that's called a memory key. Now, what that is let's say that you were in the tub and you were playing around with the lights, you played around with everything, and you really love the settings. You can actually hit that M, and it'll go into a memory, or you can save that memory, and it'll only save one memory, but then the next time that you get in, if you want it to go right back to that, hit restore, it'll go right back to that last saved memory.
Okay, so that would be like if I had the lights on and a certain temperature.
So temperature typically is going to stay the same. It's typically just lights and jets and everything, okay?
Okay.
This guy right here, the water droplet with the 2 arrows going around in a circle, that's called your clean cycle. Now, what it does is it's a 10-minute cycle on which it turns on the jets and creates turbulence in the water, and it pushes as much water as it can into the filter compartment. It's a good idea anytime we're adding anything to the spa, or actually anytime we're getting out of the spa, to turn on that clean cycle, and you can close it up with the clean cycle on.
Oh, okay.
Now, the reason we do that is because anything that just got introduced to the tub while you were getting in it, or anything like that, will be pushed towards your filters, and we can make sure that we keep the water clean, fresh, and feeling good.
So we can do that every day.
Yep.
Okay.
There is an actual auto clean cycle where it'll turn on once a day and everything for 10 minutes. And what it'll actually do is it'll push all the water that's in the lines out in the main body of water and bring fresh water into the lines and make sure that no water gets stagnant if you're ever
Okay.
not using the tub. That way, you don't really have to worry about it just when you're getting out of the spa, and it'll just do that.
That
you
one
know?
right there.
Yep.
Sounds like we want
And
that
you can
on.
push and hold it. And it'll switch. Now it just started up, so it'll actually turn on every day at this time just to do that.
Oh,
So
and it's
pushing-
okay that the lid's on.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, going into your temperature. Now, your temperature, on average, can go up to 104. So, we'll go up to 104. Notice that the light turns off again, just because it's not at the temperature.
Right.
Now, typically we see during the winter when it starts getting into really cold like temperatures, like when we're hitting 11 degrees and everything, that's when everybody starts turning up their temperatures on hot tubs. Just because you're gonna lose heat pretty quick in temperatures that low. I haven't seen it hit that low yet, but just so you know, if you ever got up to 104 and it still didn't seem hot enough, the manufacturer allows for you to push and hold, and it'll go to a red 105 and it'll go to a red 106. Now, red doesn't mean your spa's overheating. It doesn't mean it's going to explode or anything like that. All red means is that the manufacturer wanted a warning saying, hey, these are a little bit hotter temperatures than some people are used to. Let's go ahead and be careful how long we stay in and everything. That's all the red means, but that's where it'll cap out at 106.
Okay.
Okay. Now, going into your jets, you have one jet pump and everything, which is a high-speed jet pump, which means this is the loudest your spa is ever going to be and everything, which is super, super cool on this. But have you figured out how all your jets work?
Like in there turning them and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, this is your diverter valve. Anytime that your jets are on, this is actually what creates the direction in which your pump is flowing.
Okay.
So, you'll notice that in the middle, this is a loose position, and then you also have locked positions where they're not as loose. These give you the most amount of flow on different like areas in your tub. So if we turn on your tub, you may notice that we're getting more flow here,
Yeah.
and now we're getting more flow on that side.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever just wanted more of a hydro massage
And
or
the
anything
middle's
like that.
just equal.
Yep. Any of these is more equal. Now, those guys, if you want to play around with those guys are called comfort controls. They control airflow. So if you turn it from one side all the way to the other side, see how the air stopped being injected in the top?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see.
No, you can see it. Yeah.
But those control airflow. So that's kind of that, that's a moto massage. So that's kind of like that more massaging, going up
Uh-huh.
and down and everything. More airflow means more pressure and everything. So if you're ever focused on your back or anything like that, you can use those comfort controls to control that.
And do these only control this one, or does it control?
So that one will only control that guy. The other ones are actually controlled by the outer bezel and everything. Any of the medium or bigger size jets are
Oh,
controlled, yeah, by the outer bezel inside your spa. Now, while we wait for this to clear, you notice how there's a lot of foaming happening? Typically, that happens actually from laundry detergent.
Uh-huh.
If you're using bathing suits in your spa and everything, we want to make sure that we're washing them, but we don't want to wash them with detergent.
Right.
Because these tubs, the jets will actually pull that little bit of detergent that's still left in there, and it'll actually take it and put it into the tub. Now, the only way to remove any type of detergent from your tub is by physically removing it and everything. So if you're ever having friends or anything over,
Scoop it out.
yep. Now, the easiest way that I always recommend if you have a hot tub and you're planning on having multiple people in, or having parties or anything like that, is you want to buy a wet shop vac. The reason we do that is because then you don't have to worry about detergent as much, because you can turn your jets on high, let it foam up, and as it's foaming up, you can actually suck it off the top with a wet vac and everything, and it'll get detergent out so much quicker than just having to sit there and scoop it as it's produced.
What
you know?
about the stuff you can buy just to put in there?
That's called anti-foam.
Right.
Now, I never suggest that. The reason being is because that's a band-aid to the problem.
Okay.
Because it'll only last you about 30 to 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and it'll foam right back up because that
Okay.
detergent isn't actually getting taken out of the tub.
Okay.
It's just displacing the surface of the water, so the foam can't actually stick to the surface of the water.
Okay.
Now, like those are medium-sized jets and everything, and then we have bigger jets right here.
Uh huh.
Both of these jets have outer bezels on them. The only ones that don't are the tiny jets, like
Okay.
the ones on top of there and these guys.
Okay.
Those are the only ones that we can't twist the outer bezel to control that flow.
Okay.
Okay. But as far as that goes, that is how your jets work. Going back into here, I don't typically go into the lights because lights are something you can play
Yeah.
with and everything. But this guy is your salt system. Now, a lot of people think that this is a meter that actually measures your salt. What it actually does, it measures the continuity of your water. So it doesn't measure the salt in your water, it measures how well electricity can function throughout your water versus your cell. But I'm gonna explain that when I pull the cell out and everything,
Okay.
and then we'll go over how that works. This is your chlorine output level. So why we told you to bring that number up was just we weren't getting enough chlorine based upon use. Now, is this your first ever hot tub?
Mhm.
So I'm guessing you guys were pretty excited. You guys were like, "Oh, I want to get in it every single day and everything." Typically, the first 3 months, we call it novelty use and everything. Okay, because you're super stoked. You got a tub. You're like, "I love this thing. I never had one of these," you know, and you want to get in it all the time.
I like that.
Yeah. Now, for the first 3 months, it's novelty use. After about 3 months, you're like, "Oh, I've had a hot tub for a little bit and everything." You get more into your normal use. You're like, "Okay, I'm gonna be using this 3 to 4 times a week and everything. I know I have extra time on this. I want to use it before I go to work." Things like that. But what you may notice and everything is the times that you're using the tub more, we need to pay more attention to how much chlorine is in the tub because we may not have enough. Because not having enough chlorine can make cloudy water. It can actually let your water get a little bit green and everything, things like that. So we just want to be conscientious that once a week we're going to test our water. Okay? Now, on here, this next guy, that's called a boost button. So let's say you're going to have friends over and everything. You know you guys are going to be in the tub getting in and out. That boost button was made, honestly, it was made for bigger tubs. Because if you're going to have 8 people in a tub and get out and your tub's not used to that and everything, what it'll do is it'll boost up your chlorine levels.
Uh-huh.
It'll basically tell your tub, "I'm going to have a lot of different things going into the tub and everything. I want you to make sure my tub stays sanitized." So for 24 hours, it'll boost up those chlorine levels, and then it'll keep sanitizing after they leave too. So it just kind of helps keep your water clean.
You're
Make sure.
saying you would do that before that event.
So typically, I always recommend you do it about 12 hours prior to the event. The reason we do it about 12 hours prior is because for 12 hours we allow it to boost up those chlorine levels, and then it's still boosting up those chlorine levels while people are getting in and out of the tub, and then even after we're making sure that we're sanitized.
Okay.
Okay? Make sure. Don't know if that was my boss, but he can wait. The next button on there, this is the button in which if you needed to change your cartridge, that's the button that you're going to hit. So what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the controller. If I hit that button, it'll say press OK to replace cartridge now. We press OK. It says turning off pumps, right? Now, it says turning off pumps, but no jets are on. Well, you have a 24-hour circulation pump. So right over here is where your salt cartridge is located. It should say remove cartridge now on the controller.
Yep.
So all we do is twist to the left, and this is your cartridge. How we take it out is this little button on top. We just push down, and pull up. And this is your cartridge. So the way chlorine is produced through this cartridge is your circulation pump is pushing water in between those 2 plates in there, okay? And what we're using is we're using electricity bouncing back and forth between those plates, and as salt water passes through there and is electrified, the actual chemical reaction you get is chlorine. That's why with the push of a button, we can up your chlorine levels or lower your chlorine levels. So a salt system is still a chlorine system. Now, it said put in new cartridge, and now it should say press OK to restart system now. And you can hit OK. Now your tub's pretty smart. It knows that we probably just put air in the lines, so it's gonna burp itself. So if you notice, sometimes you'll get a little bit of bubbles starting to come up. All it's doing is it's just burping itself, making sure that your lines are all good and there's no air in them. But that's typically how your salt system actually works in your tub. Now it's time for the real test. We're gonna see how your water's looking, okay? Do you happen to have a plastic cup?
What we have on- Do you want a clear one?
No, that's totally fine. Okay.
Well, I thought they gave us something. Oh yeah, that's it.
So this is for water samples. I'll explain what that is in just a second. Do you have your test strips? Perfect. So the reason I asked for one of these is just because in general, anytime we're dealing with hot water, what you'll notice is body oils, lotions, things like that like to sit on the surface of the water. Now, anytime we have those on the surface of the water, if we take a test strip and we just dip it straight through those, what'll happen is if those lotions contain any type of chemicals or anything like that, they can actually change the color of your test strips and everything. So what I suggest you do is you take a cup and everything, you're gonna flip it upside down. We're gonna go down about elbow depth, flip it right side up, and then we come back through that surface, but we don't want that surface water, so we just dump off that top layer. And this is what we test from, okay? From there,
Okay, so we've just been like sticking the test strip in there.
and that's totally okay. Typically, that's what we see a lot of people doing
Okay.
and everything. Don't worry, I won't fail you on the test.
That's
or anything
okay.
like
You can fail us because we don't know what we're doing.
that. But the way these test strips work
Uh-huh.
is we're actually going to dip for 2 seconds, tap off the excess, and read our results right away.
Okay.
Now, to read our results, we do
Yeah.
need the bottle
Yeah.
and everything. So we're going to go 1, 2, tap off the excess. Now, for salt, we want it to be between that 25 to 75 range,
Uh-huh.
and that's right where we are. Our pH does look a little bit low
Uh-huh.
because we want to be in that 7.2 to
Yeah.
7.8, and we're down here. Our alkalinity, I would honestly say we're still within range. We're just on the lower end, which is fine
Uh-huh.
and everything. But we don't have any chlorine in the tub. We have no purple.
Okay,
and
so
everything.
this has been common the whole time we've had it. Like this, we can't get this BR up to color, and this has gotten a little pink, but nothing else.
So on chlorine, that means we're going to have to turn your output up more and everything based upon your
We have been
usage.
using it a lot.
Yep. Now,
So, and you're talking about that number.
yep.
'Kay.
Now, this guy, you don't have to pay attention to this at all and everything because this is bromine. It's another type of sanitizer. We're not
Uh-huh.
actually using it in your spa. It does show up purple sometimes just because it reads a lot that chlorine does too, but we don't have to pay attention to this. The only things we're really going to have to pay attention to is honestly your chlorine and your pH.
'Kay.
These two are the only ones because once alkalinity is within range and hardness is within range, those don't change too much. Every now and then we want to glance at them, but your pH and your chlorine are going to be the one things that change the most.
Okay.
Okay? So, based upon where we're sitting at and everything, I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to bump you up on your chlorine output to 6.
Oops.
So you can go ahead and turn that up to 6. Now, our pH is low, which is fine for right now because anytime we have air being injected into water, pH always climbs. So what I want you to do is just for the next week, just pay attention to your pH. How you can actually bump up pH is you open up the lid and turn on the jets for an hour or two and everything, and then just close it up and everything. You can retest after that hour or two and you'll see pH rise.
Okay.
So that's why in your kit we give you pH decreaser, because a lot of the times we have to be decreasing. While we may have had an actual decrease in your pH down here, it's most likely because we had to add more chlorine. Did they tell you to add 2 capsules of chlorine?
Yeah.
So anytime you add chlorine to the tub, that's an acid which will actually bring your pH down and bring your acidity up in your water.
Okay.
So we just want to watch that pH and make sure it bounces back up. But turning it up on there isn't really going to affect it.
Okay, so what happens if we do that and it doesn't come up?
Typically that doesn't happen, but if you needed your pH up and it wasn't working, putting actual air into your water, then we sell pH increaser and
Okay.
everything at our shop. And that would be something that you could get a bottle of and everything, but honestly with salt systems, you don't typically need that
Okay.
and everything, okay? It could just be because we had to add a little more chlorine and everything. We had to bump those chlorine levels up. That pH dropped because we added an acid to the tub, okay? Now, the other test strips that are actually in your water care, the black ones, those ones are called salt test strips. Now, if you look at the back of those, it says that your range should be within 1,500 to 2,000.
Yeah.
Now, typically on a salt system like yours, which is a freshwater salt system, I want to see you closer to right here.
Okay.
Okay? Now, those ones we don't typically have to worry about anything on the surface of the water. We don't have to worry about getting a water sample
So we
like
just
this.
dip it in there.
Yep. So we can go ahead and turn this guy off. But because of where your salt system's sitting at, I'm guessing you're actually close within the 2,000 range and everything. So we just want to dip.
We
And
test
then,
it now.
yep. We just want to dip the test strip and we want to hold it level. And we're going to count to 20 and see where you're sitting at. You don't have to shake off any excess or anything like that, okay?
Okay. Hold it level.
Say hold it down or
Level.
You're sitting close to that 2,000 range. It looks like you're close to about there,
Yeah.
which is actually really good for this system. We want more salt because it allows your cartridges to actually work better in your tub.
Okay.
We don't want less salt in your tub, just because if you had less salt, it makes the cartridge work so much harder and
Okay.
everything. Now, with salt, you don't typically have to be adding salt very often. We want to be testing salt once a month,
Oh, okay.
but we're testing all your other levels, that white bottle, once a week.
Okay.
Okay? But the only way for salt to actually get out of your tub would be by splash out, by draining, or what sticks to your skin when you get out, which
Okay.
isn't very much at all.
Okay.
Now, even if your water line drops and you throw a hose back in there,
Uh-huh.
it's not going to affect your salt because the concentration hasn't changed
Okay.
and everything. With evaporation or anything like that,
Okay.
you're actually not losing any salt. It's
Okay.
staying in the water. So we shouldn't typically have to add salt at all.
Okay.
Okay? Now it is time to get into your filters. Now we have a lot of foam.
Oh, that's not a lot. We've had a lot.
Okay. Now, if we look in your filters,
Uh-huh.
you have 3 filters, and those are actually Triax filters. Now, one of them is marked with a gray top, the other 2 are marked with a white top. Now, the gray one is marked gray because it's on your 24-hour circulation system, which means it's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
The ones marked with a white top are only running when your jet pumps are running.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to get in the habit of once a week, we pull those filters out, we want to rinse them, and then when we put them back in, we want to rotate them like we rotate your car tires.
Okay.
That way we don't have one just sitting on the 24-hour circulation pump and the other 2 only being used with the jet pumps, because you'll get one that goes out before the others.
Okay.
So that's once a week we're rinsing and rotating, right? Good idea would be to number them with a Sharpie or anything like that. That way you know where each one is going.
Just hose them off?
Yep.
Or you scrub them with a brush?
Nope.
and then just hose
We've
them?
been putting them on in the dishwasher just on a water cycle
Yep.
thing.
You
Yeah,
can do that
yeah,
too,
once.
because these Triax are higher end filters that
Twice.
they'll actually,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they'll actually, they'll do really good in the dishwasher because they're ceramic filters and everything. These are the highest end filters you can have in your tub.
Okay. So how often do you have to change these out?
It all depends on use and how good you are at cleaning them. So
Okay.
we talked about once a week we're
Yeah.
rinsing and rotating. Well, now once a month we're gonna want to use filter cleaner.
Okay.
Now, filter cleaner, basically as body oils, lotions, things like that
Yeah.
get into the tub, they like to stick to your filters. Water pressure alone can't always get that off. So what we want to do is we want to use filter cleaner, which will actually loosen those up. That way when you actually hose it down, it'll actually release them from the filter. How I explain it to clients is basically just trying to use water pressure alone to clean these is like trying to literally clean a pan that you cooked bacon on with no soap
Okay.
and everything. It doesn't like to come off.
Okay.
Now, there's two ways of using filter cleaner. It comes in a spray bottle.
Uh-huh.
On the directions, it says that you can spray it on, leave it on for 20 to 30 minutes, then hose it off.
Okay.
Now, that's one way to do it. Now, the second way that I always suggest is you get a Rubbermaid that can fit all three filters. Take the entire bottle of filter cleaner, pour it in there, fill it up with water, and throw them in there around dinner time to just soak.
Yeah.
And forget about it till morning.
Oh, okay.
What
so
it's going to
overnight.
allow is filter cleaner. So like a Rubbermaid.
With your filter cleaner, put them in.
In a Rubbermaid, and take that entire bottle of filter cleaner, you pour that in there, and fill it up with water, and let them soak overnight.
Okay.
What that's going to allow is anytime you spray it with a spray bottle, it's only penetrating the outer
Yeah.
fibers. If we allow them to soak, it's going to penetrate all the fibers, and it's going to help get a deeper clean, keep everything a lot better in your
Okay.
tub. It'll keep your filters lasting longer.
Okay.
Anytime we use filter cleaner, we want to make sure that we hose it completely off. The reason we do that is because it is an acidic-based detergent, foam, lots of it. If you don't actually hose them off.
So we
use
could do that
properly.
and then put them in the dishwasher on a rinse cycle and be good.
Yep.
Okay.
You just still want to get as much off
As you can.
before you put them in the dishwasher because
Okay.
it is a detergent.
Right. Got ya.
It'll foam.
Got ya.
I've seen people put a lot of it on it, or soak them, and they don't even try and rinse them, and they throw them right in the dishwasher. And if you have a dishwasher that has a lot of jets in it, it can foam that up, and you'll start seeing foam come out of your dishwasher.
Oh shit.
you know?
Okay.
Now, but in turn, these filters are the best filters you can have. Honestly, this tub is literally the best tub you can have.
Okay. So did we get that cleaner in our kit?
Typically
No,
you don't
we have to
receive
get
that
it.
because that's
Okay.
a maintenance product.
Okay.
And everything. But did we put your silver ion inside?
Believe
So in this gray standpipe, there should be. Nope, we haven't yet. So if you look in there, there should be a gray stick.
In
Looks
there.
like a sanitizing stick. This do? Yep. So how this works is this works like the fountains in Italy. So the fountains in Italy stay crystal clear without anybody throwing chlorine in there.
Uh-huh.
The reason being is from all the coins that people throw in there, the metals actually prevent algae from growing. So this guy gets dropped right in that gray standpipe, right in that pipe down there. We just take it, drop it down in there,
Okay.
and then we forget about it for 4 months.
Yeah. I don't know.
So that's one of your foam.
Something's just randomly floating.
Yeah. So that actually goes in here. It helps your weir system just float up and down with the water line.
Oh, okay.
But that silver ion is now working, coinciding with your salt system to make sure your water stays crystal clear. Yeah, thank you. But now it's working with your salt system to actually make sure your water's completely sanitized and everything, and you're not going to get any algae growth or
Okay.
anything like that.
So that will always stay in that position? Or
And it's
will
always in the gray one.
Yep, always in the gray one. If you look at the white ones, they don't even have a top that you can actually stick them down.
Well, yeah, but this still rotates, right? When we wash these, that gray one would go here, and then we'd go like that. Is that right?
Not necessarily. You would just want to keep the gray one over there so you know which one your circulation pump is.
Okay.
These white ones, actually, you can't drop them in there if you wanted to. See that cap on
Yeah.
there? So you can keep the caps where they are. You just want to make sure the filters get rotated. And there is no upside down or right side up and everything. So basically how I do it is I would take that filter, switch it to here, this one to there, and that one to there. So it's basically just revolving. and everything.
Okay, you got to cover that again. The gray lid is you're taking the gray thing and putting it on a different filter.
No, you're just taking the filters. So you basically take... Basically, I would just take this and unscrew all the lids. Like that, right? And I would take out my filters.
And you'd rotate them.
Yep. And then I would literally, when I put them back on, still keep the gray lid over here. You just want your filters rotated. You know?
Okay, and that little gray thing would stay in this one.
Yep.
Okay,
You can't put it in any of the white ones.
Gotcha.
There's no hole to put it
gotcha.
in. So that gray will stay right in there. And like I said, you're not going to think about taking that thing out for 4 months. Because that'll last you 4 months, okay?
Okay.
Now, the salt cartridges and everything in your tub.
And
Typically,
that's that.
Yep.
Okay.
I always suggest that you keep a couple extra on you.
Okay.
The reason being is because that salt cartridge is what's actually keeping the chlorine in your tub.
Okay.
Now, with the salt cartridge, it will tell you on here when it goes out.
Okay.
It'll tell you when it needs to be replaced and everything.
Okay. Where will it'll just like blink or?
Yep, it'll blink. You'll go in there, and it'll say
Salt
it'll say two different things. It'll say test salt levels. It'll say check cartridge, replace cartridge.
Okay.
When it gives you that notice, if it's been about 3 to 4 months, that's typically when you're gonna see, okay, my cartridge is out and everything. I need a new
That's
one.
this piece?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And
Now-
this is the silver.
Yep.
Silver sanitary.
Yeah. Now, the silver ion will definitely last you 4 months. You
Okay.
don't have to worry about that for 4 months.
Okay.
And there is no notification for that, so if you just set a reminder or put it on your calendar or anything like that, then you can just replace that in 4 months.
Okay.
This is the one that can actually go out 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
And everything. Just because, and that one will give you a notification on here. It's just dependent on your use and
Okay.
everything. How much chlorine it needs to push, how many times you've boosted, how long the life of the cell actually is, how well your water's maintained, things like that.
Okay.
That one we don't change until the system tells us.
Right.
Yep, and that
Correct.
one we just change every 4 months. Now the reason I say we want extra of the salt cartridges is because that's what's holding the chlorine in your tub. Let's say that it went out on you, but you have a busy week. You don't have time to run to the store and everything like that and change out that salt cartridge. Well, all that time that it's out on you
It's
and you
missing
don't
your
have
water.
one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I don't have any more chlorine in my water.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
everything. So that's when you
Okay.
can see water turn green or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's typically why I always suggest you get those.
Okay.
Now getting into a little bit more of the maintenance on your tub. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you notice,
I
and
do
everything,
notice that.
Yep. You're getting a little bit of a scum line
Uh-huh.
and everything. That's pretty typical. Detergents do that. Honestly, just in general, your tub is going to do that every now and then.
Okay.
Because just with your use and everything, with water fluctuating
Yep.
and everything like that, you do get a scum line. You can feel it and everything. It's a little more sticky. What I always suggest you do is get one, get something spa certified. We sell ultra mitts at our shop, which are like yellow kitchen mitts,
Uh-huh.
and they have scrubby pads on the
Uh-huh.
palms.
Get one of these.
Okay, did you get that from us?
No.
Okay, we want to be just a
don't
little bit
like that?
careful. I think
Does it look abrasive?
it doesn't look abrasive, and it's made by Intex, which is a pole company and everything, which means like it can be spa certified. I'm not sure if it is. The whole reason I'm super careful about what I use on my tub is just because on acrylic shells, if you actually go along the acrylic shell along the water line, you can go along the entire side of it and not notice that we just scraped the entire side of
Yeah.
it until water line drops. Now, anytime you use anything that's not spa certified and everything, it voids warranties
Okay.
because the manufacturer will fight us tooth and nail
Yep.
on that and everything. And people have found that out using Dollar Tree sponges or magic erasers or anything like that.
Okay.
You just want to be using any type of pad. Now, naturally, I would say this is okay.
I'll
and
look.
everything.
But it has
Because-
to say it's spa certified to be
Yeah.
able to use it.
Yeah, so typically most of the spa certified products are going to be sold by spa companies
Okay.
and everything. We don't want to be going to Walmart and getting
Right.
just sponges or any type of
Right.
super abrasive. But how it works and everything is the Ultramint, we just go around. I always suggest anytime you're actually going around the tub ring, you want to be going in circular motions.
Okay.
What you're actually doing is you're actually going in circular motions and you're taking the scum line and pushing it down into the water. And then your chlorine is doing the rest to get it out.
Okay.
And everything. Now, inside your kit, you should have been getting a orange bottle that says Spa Shock Oxidizer.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, this guy is an oxidizer. So this guy, the way it works is when we have the jets running and we throw in some of this, what it actually does is it opens up the water to allow for everything that's in the tub to gas out.
Oh, okay.
Anytime we add this, we want to leave the cover open for about 10 to 15 minutes after we add this.
Okay.
Okay? And it's just going to be a half a capful. And I'm going to say, because of high usage and everything, we're going to be using a half a capful of this every half week. Okay? So every 3 to 4 days and everything, we're going to be using a half a capful.
And when we use that, the lid has to be off because we're running
Yep.
the jets.
Just for 10 to 15 minutes,
Okay.
just to allow for everything to gas off.
Yep.
Because a lot of the times, the best way to explain it is there's a bunch of microbials in your tub. They're like little bugs, right? And everything. They come from you, they come from water, they come from literally everywhere and everything inside your tub. But your chlorine is in your tub there to kill everything, right? Now, everything is being killed in your tub, but we want to make sure that it's being taken out of your tub too. We don't want to be swimming around in everything that's dead in your tub. So every time you add this and everything, it actually oxidizes, so it allows for all that gassing
To get out.
to actually get out of the tub
Okay.
and everything. So you may notice, like the first couple times you use this, if we haven't used it yet and everything, you might smell it and everything at first. It may smell like chlorine and everything, but typically chlorine actually doesn't have a smell. Chlorine actually is an oxidizer too. This is just a way that we can oxidize your water without adding a bunch of chlorine to it.
Okay.
Okay? But half a cup full of this and everything every half week.
'Kay.
Okay? Just based upon your usage and everything. And we'll see how that goes, and you may notice that your water actually looks better
Okay.
using that. Okay? But like I said, Ultramint and everything, circular motions pushing it down in the water, that'll help actually get it out of the water.
Okay, so we need to get a couple of those and a mitt. So that's what we're missing right now, correct?
Yeah. And now, as far as your shell goes, we don't want to ever use any cleaners on it, especially when you have water in your spa.
Yep.
Because it'll mess with the balance of your tub and
'Kay.
everything. So, those Ultramints you can use while you're inside your spa, while you're outside your spa and everything. They're super, super simple
'Kay.
and everything. The only time we want to use any type of cleaners on the shell of your spa is if you're actually draining completely
Okay.
and you're planning, you're just like, I just want to clean everything. Typically, you're never going to see anything below the water line along your shell. This is going to stay completely clean.
Okay.
It's mostly just the ring around and around here.
Okay.
Of our
How
tub.
do we get that stuff out?
The gravel.
So that's going to be something like, I'll show you. I think I have one on my rig and everything. It's called a spa vac. What it is it's just like a little pole that you stick down there and everything, and it'll suck all that up and everything. And it'll release the water back into your tub without releasing that stuff in there and everything. And it really helps a lot.
Leaf.
But a lot of that tends to come from your roof and everything like that. You know, just the wind, things like that. It'll actually get inside your spa. But I'll show you a different way to get that out, okay? As far as your cover goes, we know that your water is sanitized, but if we take a look at your cover, the cover is never actually inside the water. But it is warm and moist. Perfect breeding ground for bacteria, mold, mildew, anything like that. So once every 2 to 3 months, we just want to be making sure we get a Clorox wipe, any type of sanitizing wipe, and we just wipe the underside of the cover
Yep.
and everything. So that's once every 2 to 3 months. For the top side of the cover, I always suggest 303 cover cleaner and conditioner and everything. What it is it's a cleaner that we trust. You can't really use any Armor All or anything like that because Armor All actually contains a chemical that'll actually eat away
Okay.
at these covers and everything. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're using a nice enough cleaner and everything to clean off all the dirt. I usually use our 303 multi-surface cleaner, clean off all the dirt, let it dry, and then I use the UV protectant, which is a conditioner and a sunscreen, because
And you
I'm
have
like-
both of those at the store.
yep.
Okay.
The reason I do that is because honestly, this is the powerhouse to your spa. This cover needs to stay in good condition. That way your electricity bill doesn't go up,
Yeah.
it doesn't get heavy or anything like
Yeah.
that. So when we use those cleaners and everything, it avoids any type of sun damage, any type of cracking. Because if you have a bunch of cracks in your cover and then it rains or anything like that, you can potentially get water inside your cover.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that we're staying on top of this cover.
Okay.
Okay. But using both of those, you can use them actually anywhere externally on the spa. You can actually use them to get rid of all those watermarks on the side too
Okay.
and everything. So best way to use it, multi-surface cleaner, and then let it dry and use a rag and spray on the protectant and just wipe it down, and you'll notice it'll look brand new. Then I take the damp rag from the protectant and I'll just wipe away the watermarks and everything.
Okay.
Right now in the winter, it would pretty much be a monthly chore.
Mhm.
In the summer, if it gets real hot,
Yeah.
that can be weekly
Okay.
and everything.
Can we cover it with a tarp or something in the summer to help, or is that not recommended?
You can definitely cover it with something in the summer. It's just the one thing that I would say is anytime you cover it and everything, I wouldn't cover it too heavily because
Right.
we don't want your spa to overheat or
Right.
anything like that.
It'll be pretty shaded in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is if we ever notice any burn or scorch marks on your cover and everything. I know that sounds freaky, but we want to make sure any type of reflections are not bouncing into your cover during hotter parts of the day and everything. Typically, we don't see an issue with it. I don't see it being an issue with that since there's a screen there.
Well, and this tree is really the whole backyard's shaded in the
Okay,
summer.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I just typically have to say that anytime I see a window near
Yeah,
a spa
yeah.
and everything, just because if the sun bounces in and a solar ray bounces off of that, it's like a magnifying glass
Yeah.
and everything, you know? We just want to be conscientious of that.
Okay.
As far as everything else goes, we know how to turn on and off your spa, right? The panel?
On the panel.
Yep. Now, this is your panel. You have a 20 and 30 amp breaker that's actually in here that controls it. Anytime we turn off your spa, we actually want to turn off the 20 first, right? So we turn off the 20, wait a couple seconds, and then we turn off the 30.
Okay.
Anytime, so now your spa is completely off, there's no power actually getting to your spa. You'll notice both of the lights actually on your panel are off. And then when we turn it back on, it's reverse order. So we turn on
Hi.
the 30,
And then
wait a
20.
couple seconds, and then we turn on the 20. Okay?
Okay.
The only reason we do that is because the 20 amp breaker controls the heater and everything. We want to turn off the heater, let your spa say, oh, my heater's off, and then turn off the spa.
Okay.
And then we want to make sure that we turn on the spa, then turn on the heater.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, we have that connector for the hose. Can I just put straight hose water in there, or what's the do you know what I mean?
The PVC pipe
Yeah.
looking thing? Yeah. So what that is that's called a clean screen pre-filter.
Uh-huh.
So we don't have it out here. But the clean screen pre-filter, what it is, it's a charcoal pre-filter. Oop. See, we have a blue light. I might have not waited long enough.
Oh yeah, it's
Yep.
blinking.
So I didn't wait long enough to turn it on and then
Was there a notification on there?
No.
No. Okay.
Because it hasn't connected quite yet.
Oh, okay.
So got it.
Okay, now the blue light's on. Okay.
Now we're good.
Okay.
So, what that clean screen pre-filter actually does is it filters out any type of contaminants. That's what we want to do anytime that we're draining and doing a fresh fill.
Okay.
Anytime we're just topping off the tub, we can throw a hose directly in it
Okay.
and everything, okay? Now, that clean screen pre-filter is good for 10 uses. So typically, I usually say a drain and refill happens twice a year. So it's usually every 6 months. Best times to drain and refill are going to be spring and fall, because you're not dealing with any type of high temperatures and you're not dealing with freezing
Okay.
and everything. Now, as far as that goes, the clean screen pre-filter is really good. Did they have you add the pillow-looking bag? Oh, it is.
What?
Because there should have been something called a vanishing act. This guy. Did they have you throw this in?
No.
Okay. So that means that your calcium's all good on your tub and everything. Now, around your home, there's 7 different aquifers that change throughout the year. Calcium and salt do not get along. It looks like a giant pillow. It's heavy.
So when do we put that in?
So you didn't have to this time. The next time that you drain and fill, we want to take in a water sample to our shop. The reason we're going to take in the water sample from our shop.
This thing you just are you gonna chuck this in the water?
Yeah, you put it over the bottom vent.
Okay.
But it's a pillow-looking thing. What it does is it actually takes out calcium out of your water.
'Kay.
Right now, your calcium is already low,
Okay.
so we didn't have to use it.
Okay.
But throughout the entire year, the 7 different aquifers actually change and everything throughout the year. So we might have been good on calcium this time, but the next time we go to fill up, your calcium can be a little bit higher We want to make sure our calcium is as low as possible anytime we have salt, because that's what produces lime scale buildup
Okay.
and everything. And we don't want any type of scaling or anything like that in your spa.
So you're
Okay.
saying if when we drain in the fall,
Yeah.
we bring the water in before we use that?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is you drain, and then fill it back up, and then I would take a send a water sample from the water that you just filled the tub back up with. That way we can help you figure out all the different things that you need to add and everything like
Yeah.
that. And it'll just help you out in general. And then we might say your calcium's looking a little high right now, so we need you to put in your vanishing act.
Okay.
Okay? But for right now, we're solid on that.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
Everything else, so we have sand and scale control. This is only used on startup.
Oh.
Okay? So we're already good on this. We only use this on startup, and it'll tell you how much to actually use
'Kay.
on the back, okay? pH decreaser, this is only used when our pH is actually too high and we need to drop it down. And it'll tell you on the back. Now just know that your tub actually runs 250 gallons of water.
Okay.
Okay, so we use that 200 mark and then put just a little bit more.
Okay.
So that top one, okay? Chlorinating concentrate. This guy, the only time we use this is if we're noticing that there's no white on the test strips. We want to throw in a little bit of this. So we did have white on our test strips, so I'm going to say we're going to put in probably 1 cap full of this just to bring our chlorine back up right now. Okay?
No white on the test strip?
Yeah, so, or we had white on the test strip, so no
Okay.
purple, sorry. But this one was way over here at
Yeah.
0. We want to get it to that 3 to 5 and everything. So we're going to add a cap full of this to help bring that chlorine up. And then our cartridge is going to do the rest to just hold.
So we're gonna do that today.
Mhm.
Okay.
Your spa salt, like I said, you're not really going to have to add much of that and stuff. It doesn't really get out of your tub. You might have to add some, I would say, in probably 2 to 3 months. But you do want to be checking that once a month.
Okay.
Okay. As far as everything else
And
goes,
that'll be based on
for
Oh,
Oh,
that-
no,
that's
that's
the-
salt. That's the other strip.
when the control tells us.
well,
Oh, with the
with the black test.
Yeah, it's the other strip.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So we want to be
If
closer.
we get over here.
Yep. So you'll notice it over time. You might start cruising over here and everything, but that's over months
Okay.
and stuff. We just want to be. Anytime it tells you to basically check your salt levels on your tub and everything and confirm. You don't have to do that every 10 days. Like I said, once a month is good enough
Okay.
and everything. We just want to be checking our salt levels to make sure that we're all solid on it.
Okay.
Okay. And then remember these guys once every 4 months and everything on your sanitizing sticks. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and add
That's
a
the
cap
silver
silver.
here.
Yeah, silver ion.
The silver in the filter.
Yep. Now
Once every 4 months.
grab these just to show you real fast how fast this works. So we remember that there was no purple on our test strips. If I
Yep.
turn on the jets, now if there's a lot of stuff in your tub, this won't work. But I don't think there's a lot in your tub because your actual water looks really clear. So I just take a capful while the jets are running, throw it in there, let it cruise around for a little bit. Now if I take a test strip right now, and I'm not going to do the water sample right now and everything, but if I take it,
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
yep, we're purple, and we're right between that 3 to 5. And your cartridge is turned up, so it's going to do its work now to just cruise and keep that, okay? But you notice how we do have that purple now.
And that's the chlorine concentrate that makes the purple.
Yep,
Okay.
and we're all good on that guy. All right, so we can go ahead and put these two away.
So everything's pretty good except our foam issue, which we know.
That and your pH is a little low.
Okay.
Um,
But we upped that to 6, so that should change it.
That'll change the purple to holding. and
Oh,
everything.
okay.
Your pH, we just need to be running the jets and everything with the lid off. To
Okay.
bring that up for a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Your jets run on a 2-hour timer. So what I would say is I would try and get as much foam out. And I would say let's open the cover and let's let the jets run for an hour
Okay.
and everything. And then check your pH and it'll probably have gone up
Okay.
and everything, okay?
Okay, but we only have to do that once a week. And then the salt one we do once a month
for testing.
for testing.
Yeah.
And that's once a week as well, those filters.
Yep.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna do is, I think on my rig I actually have everything broken down
Okay.
for you. If I don't, I'll email you over.
That would
all
be
the information,
fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's that for you. Now, as far as everything goes, on salt cartridges, filters, anything like that, anything that you feel like you've learned today that you don't already have, you also get 20% off because you hadn't had the information before of
Okay.
anything that you need to.
Okay.
So if there's anything that you feel like you need, then you can take advantage of that 20% off.
Yeah.
I might even have it on my rig, so you might save a trip to the store.
Okay, so we want one of those scrubby things. We want a couple of those, and then should we just buy one of those great things to have?
Yeah, so the salt cartridges are going to be... Salt cartridges are typically the most expensive thing.
Okay.
Salt cartridges run, so they run $99 each.
Okay.
But for a 3-pack of them, which gets you through the year, they run $249.99, and then you
Okay.
get 20% off of that $249.99.
Okay.
So typically I recommend a 3-pack of salt cartridges.
Okay.
Silver Ion, those run $34.99, and you get 20% off of those. I usually suggest just get 2 of those to set you up for the year on those, so you don't have to worry about anything for a year.
Okay.
And then as far as filters go, are you planning on probably doing the soaking method? Or are you planning on doing the spray
No,
method?
I think we would soak them. Oh, and we needed that stuff too, the cleaner for
Yeah,
those.
filter cleaner.
Yeah.
So when you do the soaking method, because your tub is out of commission from dinner time till morning,
Yeah.
so you spray it off and everything, typically I recommend to let them dry. What I usually suggest is that you get a second set of filters and everything. Reason being is because you can just switch them out.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
you can just
switch them out.
switch them out and everything, and you always have a clean set on your garage shelf. The other reason is I was a service tech before I did this for tubs, so I worked on them and dealt with a lot more issues with them. And anytime that you have an issue with your spa where it's saying low flow, no heat, or anything like that, and you call into our shop, first thing we ask you have a second set of clean filters and everything. If you do, we're going to tell you to basically turn off your spa using the breakers, take out those filters, put in your clean set, turn your spa back on, and turn on the jets. And if it clears the air, we're going to tell you have clogged filters. You need to get a deeper clean on them and everything to make sure, because we don't want to send a service tech out here
Right.
for a problem if it's as simple as clogged filters and you have to pay a service fee for that.
Right.
And everything. So when you have a second set, you can actually test it yourself just to see if it's your filter.
Okay.
Because clogged filters will actually cause a lot of different problems for your
You
tub.
always turn the power off to clean these.
No.
Take them out.
No, that would be only if you had an error.
That's you want to flush air.
Yeah, well, that would be only if you had an error on your spa, and you were calling us, and we told you to turn off your spa.
Other than that, we don't ever touch it, right?
Unless you're draining.
Okay.
Yep, unless you're draining.
All right.
When you're draining, that's the only time you'll turn it off, and then
Okay.
you won't turn it back on until it's full again.
Okay.
Everything. Phosphate remover. So, who's your sales rep?
JJ.
Jim.
Okay. So, JJ is really good. Did he tell you how he wants you using that? Or send you an email about it?
We had to use it once when we brought some water in, and they said you need a cap full of this.
So
'Cause-
I'm going to go ahead and say we're not going to use that again until you bring in another water sample to us.
Okay.
We offer free monthly testing. So you get a free test every month.
Yeah, it was
Yep. So what was your
It
phosphate?
It was like 25,000 or something, I thought.
It would be... Typically it's...
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that phosphate remover will actually...
2,931.
So I'll teach you a little bit about
So
phosphate.
this is pretty rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we tell you to. It could be a pretty regular occurrence that you need to add a little bit of that. Reason being is because phosphates come from everywhere. We produce phosphates on our skin. Phosphates come from fertilizers. They come from literally everywhere. And we just... Salt systems don't like phosphates, so we want to make sure we keep those lower and everything, okay? But in all honesty, if he had you add it and everything and he's not worried about it, you're probably not going to have to add it again for a little while.
Okay.
In all honesty.
We accidentally bought 2 of those because I went and tested the water and they got me one.
Yeah.
She went back and didn't know that I got that.
So you guys were kind of freaking out. You're like, I don't really know anything about a hot tub.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing. And I was like, I don't know. So I bought more.
Yeah. Well, you'll be totally fine. Do you feel like you learned anything today?
Yeah,
Yeah?
for sure. Well, and I have it on video, and you're going to give me a list.
Yep. I'm going to give you all the information and
Okay.
everything.
Okay, so
Um,
can I stop it?
yeah.
Or, okay.